where people are coming from parts unknown, countries that you've never heard of.
Oh, fuck me.
What have you done to him?
I didn't do anything to him. He fainted.
Languages that nobody in this country speaks. We don't even have teachers of some of these languages.
Are you going to probe us?
Why does everyone always assume that? What am I doing? Am I harvesting farts? How much can I learn from an ass?
What?
Who would think that? We have languages that are like from the planet Mars.
Who are you? And this is Stubbs. He's okay. He's fine. He's friendly. His name's Paul.
Nobody knows how to, speak it.
Is that Klingon? You psychotic nerd.
Yeah, I had a little fun with that one. Sorry, guys. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm Jeremy. That's Mike. The clip you just saw was Donald Trump talking about languages from Mars. We have so many languages coming across the southern border, nowhere else, just the southern border, that apparently he thinks their language is coming from Mars.
We have so many languages coming in from the inner four planets of the solar system.
Yeah, and I love how
have teachers for it.
He'll say they come from countries we've never heard of, like Africa or South America. Like we'll actually name continents.
Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Papua New Guinea. It's not that hard.
No.
Mexico.
Okay, I don't know if Donald Trump is aware of this, but there are no countries that we don't know about anymore. We found them all. So the fact that
we found them all. We found them all and colonized 85% of them. We're good. We know what
exactly.
We know.
And they all speak a language that we are aware of. So nobody worry. There are no languages from Mars coming across the southern border.
Let me tell you, there's people in America getting graduate and master's degrees in ancient Aramaic. Okay, trust me, we have people who could teach any of these spooky languages, which are
and actually that's
Spanish.
And that's one of the reasons I picked that clip, because we actually have people in this country that speak Klingon. So even if we have Klingons come in the United States, people speak Klingon. So we're good. We're covered. We're good. Anyway, we have a lot to cover on this show. We're going to do a very, very stark comparison between Donald Trump's recent speeches and Joe Biden's State of the Union address. And then you make the decision for yourself which one you think's brain is complete and utter mush. I'll give you a hint. It's not Joe Biden.
It really isn't.
But there's some other things going on too that really, really bothered me. And the main one was Donald Trump met with Viktor Orban literally while they were getting ready for the State of the Union address and shortly thereafter. So let me play our first. Yeah, at Mar-a-Lardo. So let me play our first clip and then we'll go ahead and fill in some of the blanks here.
A great leader in Europe, Viktor Orban. He's the prime minister of Hungary. He's a very great leader, very strong man. Some people don't like him because he's too strong. It's nice to have a strong man running your country. Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably
a homoerotic
one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world, and he's the leader of He's the leader of Turkey, Viktor Orban, and he's the head of Hungary, and he runs it tough.
There it is.
Let me tell you, he runs it properly. He runs it strong.
The autocrat in question is Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. He has been called, quote, the ultimate 21st century dictator, a title he earned by, quote, chipping away at his country's democratic systems through policies that are hostile to LGBTQ people and immigrants and crackdowns on the free press and the judiciary. Is that ringing any bells? Today, on this day, the State of the Union, Viktor Orban is in Washington, D.C., meeting with the head of the Heritage Foundation, the ultra-conservative activist think tank and mastermind of Project 2025 that plans to, quote, in their own words, dismantle the U.S. government and replace it with Trump's vision.
Yeah. I know.
Donald Trump, there is no mystery to this man. He is a simplistic, one-celled organism. He only cares about and only promotes and only cuddles up to the people that he wishes he could be. It's pretty simple. He, at every chance, tells you how great mobsters were and gangsters were, right? Al Capone. The guy literally waxes poetic about Al Capone. He talks about Kim Jong-un, how they sent love letters, and he's a strong leader. Viktor Orban is a strong man. He mentioned strong man like 40 times. That's a little
He has an obsession with strong men.
He does, because he wants to be what he is not. Okay? But his identity of what strength is totalitarianism, is brutality. Right. He only believes that a good leader is someone who suppresses the will of their people just so that they can make every decision that they want, and the people are there just to support that one individual. That is what Donald Trump believes is the mark of a strong, good leader.
And the reason this bothers me so much is, one, why is the Heritage Foundation meeting with the dictator, and why is Viktor Orban meeting with the Heritage Foundation?
That's a little weird.
Yeah, that bothers me a lot, considering the Heritage Foundation is quite literally, while we speak, plotting to overthrow U.S. democracy. At what point is this fucking treason? I mean, at what point are these guys called traitors? Here is a picture of Steve Bannon, who was at CPAC recently, telling everybody that China released a bioweapon to get Trump out of the White House. And he is.
Wasn't he starting a Trump won chant?
Yeah, Trump won, saying that the election was stolen. Like, this is absolute insanity that Steve Bannon and Donald Trump, both who very much so want to overthrow the United States democracy, are meeting with a known dictator.
What I want to know is why Steve Bannon constantly dresses like he thinks he's a field general in some civil war. If there's any group of people that cosplay more than Trump supporters and MAGA and these little gross little militia babies that run around and they do their little drills with their shields like they're a Roman phalanx. Okay, we're the Patriots. We're Patriots. Who are these people, and what do they envision themselves as? What do they think their role is? I got to tell you, these gross, pathetic men think they are this bastion of strength that are going to lead this country into a golden era. They're going to lead it right into fascism, and that is what they want.
And I understand that Hungary is a member of NATO, but it's not because of Viktor Orban. As a matter of fact, Viktor Orban is not a fan of NATO. He's also not a fan of democracy. He's not a fan of women's rights. He's not a fan of LGBTQ rights. He's literally Donald Trump in a different country. But he's doing what Donald Trump wishes he could do. So let me pull up the definitions of these words, okay? And I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying, at what point is overthrowing or plotting to overthrow America, at what point does it become treason? So I want to point out, these are just textbook Merriam-Webster definitions of the words, okay? First, we're going to go over espionage, the practice of spying or using spies to obtain information about the plans and activities, especially of a foreign government or competing company. Treason, the offense of attempting, not doing, the offense of attempting by overt acts, like an insurrection, to overthrow the government of the state in which the offender owes allegiance. Every person that's in Congress took a pledge of allegiance to the United States. They owe their allegiances to our country, and they're actively attempting and working with Russians. Now we got Elon Musk having secret meetings at Mar-a-Lardo when Donald Trump is just hemorrhaging cash or has no more cash.
Money.
And then you got a dictator at Mar-a-Lardo. While Donald Trump, or while Joe Biden is giving the State of the Union address, Viktor Orban was at Mar-a-Lardo with the Heritage Foundation.
And all of those are suspicious enough. But when you combine that with someone who was an ex-president, who was impeached twice, who has 91 felonies against them for basically being a traitor, who is now a known rapist, who is a known fraudster, whose business is a lie, who is now courting out rich people like Elon Musk to help pay for his crimes, right? It is coming out now that the financial institution that paid Donald Trump's $91 million bond in the E. Jean Carroll case so that he can appeal it might have ties to Russia. So you look at the definitions that you brought up, Jeremy, and it's incredibly important that the language used can fit into what we're trying to assess. Overt actions. You can't get more overt than courting dictators than going to a contrarian billionaire Nepo baby like Elon Musk to try and get money from someone who's willing to shut down satellites in war zones.
Yeah, exactly.
Overt actions.
Right. And Biden is pissing the 1% of this nation off because he wants to actually tax them their fair share.
Which, by the way,
out. They are
that
angry.
25% is less than it was when they were being taxed and this country had a middle class. There was a point where the rich were being taxed enormously, and we actually had a middle class, because the only way trickle down works is if you open the floodgates so that their money can come down. They're not going to allow it to come down unless you force them to. That is how capitalism works.
No, I read an article in 2014. Elon Musk was worth $8 billion. He's now worth 223. So you'd need to tell me in 9 years he's done such a good job that he deserves to have that much more money, from 8 to $222 billion. But that's okay. You know what I mean? Oh no, shit on the rest of America. Who cares about who cares about people like me who have trouble putting food on the table? We're inconsequential. We're an afterthought. But yeah, that's how this
I don't even think afterthought is the right phrase for
not even
most of America.
Yeah. So, but it gets worse. Not only are they cuddling up to dictators and planning the actual overthrow of democracy and replacing it with a Christo-fascist dictatorship, now the GOP or not GOP or whoever decided, Lord Trump is now the co-chair of the RNC. So now Donald Trump has even more access to donation money. And this has been a money grab from the beginning. I found this article in Axios from last month. Let me just read this and I'll let you go over your overlays here. Now, Trump's $1 billion man, this guy named Chris LaCivita, I guess is how you say it, steering the spending by the RNC campaign. Okay, Trump's team wants to make the RNC less siloed than it was in 2020 when his second presidential campaign used the RNC largely as a bank. The RNC is expected to take the lead in the GOP's field operation and make it easier for the National Party to move money to state parties. Yeah, right. It's going to go out of Donald Trump. Yeah. This LaCivita guy would be signing off on key spending decisions, including which vendors the RNC chooses for mailings, pollings, TV ads, blah, 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 blah.
Those will all be
last paragraph there. Between the campaign, the RNC, and supporting GOP committees, it's expected to amount to a $1 billion plus enterprise.
Enterprise is the key thing. It's
not
supposed
campaign
to be
funds.
Yeah, the national committees are supposed to be there to use money to help support, actually, for the most part, lower end candidacies at state and across the on the national level. But the nominee, that's where you get your own money from. They're driving the donations for them, fine. But the RNC is supposed to take that and make sure that their party wins across the board, because unless you're going to be a dictator, okay, even if you win the presidency, if you lose the House, right, and the Senate, you don't have any power. That's called checks and balances. But it's funny how they don't care about that. But
it's actually gotten so bad. I just have to add this real quick. If you Google what the purpose of the RNC is for, and it goes to Wikipedia, it's gotten so bad. It literally says in highlighted letters, the purpose of the RNC is to pay Donald Trump's legal bills. That's what Wikipedia says.
They're continuing to pretend that the moment Donald Trump descended the golden escalator, this wasn't his attempt to secure wealth and power for the rest of his life. But again, who is actually happy about this and who is not? Well, I could tell you Donald Trump is happy about this because he thinks he has a new source of revenue. But it's interesting to know who is not happy about this. Many lifelong Republicans. Here's a couple of quotes from them. And this is after Laura Trump was elected as a co-chair. So, for the last 40 years, I've supported the GOP. Sadly, I will not send another dime to the RNC, but will contribute to the conservative candidates directly, which, even if it wasn't about Donald Trump, the RNC wouldn't like, because they want to know where their money's going to so they could support the candidate they want to fit their agenda. I will focus on down ballot races this year, a Gen Z conservative Republican said. But if these idiots aren't ousted or they don't wake up nationally in 2024, I will see to it they will. We must reclaim the party of Lincoln, Coolidge, and Reagan, which, by the way, I just want to point out, at some point, stop trying to embrace the party of the past that didn't even know what electricity was. Like, stop. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
But let's move on. Laura Trump is now the co-chair of the RNC. After a lifetime of donating to every GOP nominee and multiple down-ballot candidates, every cycle, I'm out. I donated to help win elections, not maintain the lifestyle of a billionaire.
Ooh, I like
no
that
point
one.
Donating now. Here's a conservative Navy veteran. You know how the Republicans love actual veterans. I will not donate another penny to the GOP as long as she is involved in its leadership.
Right. And
well,
we pointed out before, her only qualification to run this is that she married a Trump. She has no finance background. Her degree, she has a college degree, which I'm actually shocked on that one. She has, but it's in communications. It has nothing to do with finance or campaign law or law in general.
Start a media company, but you don't know anything about finance. You don't know anything about campaigns. You don't understand how anything works other than boss man tell me do what boss man tell me do. That's it.
This is the problem I have with our country. These people are openly getting away with damn near murder at this point and are completely free to live their billionaire lifestyle. They're completely free to grift off of everyday Americans who can barely afford to pay their heating bills. And then Donald Trump puts out a video that we'll play in our next episode about, please send me some money. If it's only $5 or $10,
I just need
make
all your
America
money.
great again. Blah, blah, blah. I like to remind everybody, Donald Trump used the donation money at one point to refurbish his personal jet with 24-karat gold seatbelt buckles. Your donation spent on that. I would donate a dime if I found that out.
If you even stepped 1 foot on it, he would have the Secret Service shoot you in the head and bury your body on the tarmac.
Yeah. He would run over you on the tarmac. What are you kidding? He wouldn't even bother burying you. All right. That's enough talking about Viktor Orban and dictators. And so let's now get into some comparisons.
Money funneling.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. These people are so pathetic.
No, but like seriously, that's something that everyone needs to be looking at, and the people that are going to vote for Trump are never going to see, but the rest of us are waking up to. Republicans are. But what's really important is the election. Who are you going to vote for? How do you determine who you vote for? Well, we're going to try and help you a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think. All right, first clip I want to play. This is from I think 2018 when Donald Trump first addressed the United Nations. They laughed at him. So I'm playing this clip for a couple reasons. Mike and I have determined that you can definitely tell between then and now the difference in Donald Trump's decline. You can see it. And then the other reason I think this is why Donald Trump hates NATO is because they laughed at his ass. Maybe that's
just
why he hates being humiliated. That's just, yeah. All right, let me play this clip.
1 year ago, I stood before you for the first time in this grand hall.
Oh, second time, okay.
I addressed the threats facing our world, and I presented a vision to achieve a brighter future for all of humanity. Today, I stand before the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true.
Yo, he is pissed right now.
Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
He is pissed. But other than he's full of shit, obviously, because he hasn't done anything for the American people or for the United Nations for that matter, he can speak. He doesn't lose his train of thought. He reacts to the crowd. Like everything seems relatively normal as far as how he's talking.
He might be an idiot and he might be full of shit, like you said, but at least he's not mumbling, stumbling, drooling, and screwing up every word. He was able to right there literally start to finish a coherent sentence. It might be an invalid sentence, but it's a coherent sentence.
Exactly. So here's a mashup from recent speeches, and then we'll go ahead and some other moments from recently from Donald Trump. But here's the first one.
It would be the right decision, or it could be the wrong decision. It could be, in some cases, the wrong decision, but they have to make decisions, and they have to make them free of all terror. The showers, you stand under a shower and there's no water coming, and you're saying you end up standing there 5 times longer. And Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear. You look at what this governor Newscomb from California, isn't that his name, Newscomb? Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your... Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable. But no one will be touching the cross of Christ under the Trump administration. I swear to you. And then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing.
Wow. Who's he looking at when he turns around?
Yeah, who is he looking at? At least he didn't refer to Ronnie Jackson in that speech.
Ronnie Jackson. Good old, now
you know
officially
I found out about him?
Ronnie Jackson.
You know what I found out about Dr. Ronnie Jackson? He was demoted after his time at the White House. After all this stuff happened, he was actually demoted from admiral to captain. So he is no longer Admiral Ronnie Jackson. That's what
They're like, sure, have a boat, but you're not doing anything when we actually need someone in charge.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, but Donald Trump had a long week. He also had the Supreme Court rule on the, what was it, Colorado ballot. Supreme Court terrifies the shit out of me, man. They really do. I didn't think they would take this immunity claim, but now that they have it, it freaks me out because they could do some serious damage. If they rule in his favor, that to me means democracy is over, that they're planning on overthrowing everything. If they don't rule in his favor, obviously that's the right call, but they're going to slow everything down to the point where he may not even be in court before the next election rolls around. So we've got some serious problems at the highest level of this country. And what do we do about it? Like, how do you fix that problem? How do you get rid of a Supreme Court judge that's playing favorites, that's overturning 50 years of precedents? Like,
you take the installation of Supreme Court judges seriously, not as a political quid pro quo. You're not supposed to put people... See, the biggest problem we have right now is the people who like to say what the founding fathers did and didn't think about modern issues. That's not what the founding fathers did. They created a government that was able to change with the times, and they assumed that the people that were in power respected that power. Right. Okay? That's the mistake that... Maybe not a mistake, but that's the risk that the founding fathers took, because previously it was inherited assholes based on who was born to who, and that was who ran everything. And they went, wow, people are inherently screwed up, but it's better for the people to try and govern themselves because it will have the people's best interest in it. But they hoped that those people would want to do right by themselves instead of installing assholes to screw them over. That's the problem.
How could they possibly have seen a nightmare that is Donald Trump? I mean, how do you predict?
I don't think they could have. I think if you were to take them, they would be so flabbergasted. They wouldn't. They wouldn't be amazed. They'd be amazed by technology and all that. But I think their intellect would let them go, let's put all these advances aside. What is the quality of person you are electing? And they would almost invariably tell you that the person who is going to take a whole financial institution that's supposed to be donations to help the party and use that for your legal fees based on your treasonous actions, that wouldn't be someone that the founding fathers were okay with.
No, and these judges, they're supposed to be nonpartisan. They're not supposed to be. That's why when they're referred to, they're usually referred to by who appointed them. They're not referred to as Democrat or Republican because they're not supposed to pick sides. They're supposed to be nonpartisan. Yeah, but they're supposed to interpret the law as it is written. And judge on situations that we've never faced before. So we have precedent to tackle it in the future. You know what I mean? But what they're doing is unbelievable.
you have Donald Trump many times, and you have people who are spokespeople for Donald Trump in interviews many times saying and admitting proudly that the Supreme Court justices, if and when they might rule on something that affects him, owe him loyalty. No, that's not how a government for the people, by the people, embedded with checks and balances works.
Right.
You don't install a Supreme Court justice so in hopes that when you get found out for committing crimes, they will help you out of the consequences. Yeah, that's not how a good person thinks.
No, that's what Donald Trump thinks, though. All right, so let's get into some more of the videos. First, what do I want to play? Actually, I'll play the immunity rant. So Donald Trump comes out and gives a super low energy speech. I'm guessing at Mar-a-Lardo. He has
not very alpha male energy.
Flags. No, this is small dick energy for real. So you had to say that. That's the first thing that popped into my head. So first he explains how they did their job, and the president should always be on the ballot and blah blah blah. But then he starts ranting about immunity, and he goes into this like 10-minute rant about other stuff that has nothing to do with the Supreme Court case. So this is his this is your brain on drugs, basically. Here you go.
And while we're on the subject, and another thing that will be coming up very soon will be immunity for a president, and not immunity for me, but for any president. If a president doesn't have full immunity, you really don't have a president, because nobody that is serving in that office will have the courage to make, in many cases, what would be the right decision, or it could be the wrong decision. It could be, in some cases, the wrong decision, but they have to make decisions, and they have to make them.
How many times has he said the word decision?
That can be rained upon them
terror.
When they leave office, or even before they leave office.
Someone give this guy some stimulants.
Are very tough. I can tell you that as a president, that some decisions to make are very tough. I took out ISIS.
Really? We never would have thought that. Oh my God.
Never would have thought that.
People from the standpoint of a different part of the world.
People.
What does that even mean? Ever. Everything with him is ever. We're the greatest ever. We had the strongest border ever.
We will fight terror.
Economy ever. That's all he says, man.
This is the most terror ever.
Yeah, I'm going to be rained down upon with terror.
No, but he's right, though. I don't think anyone that was listening to that speech, or who didn't and justifiably take the time out to watch him speak, had any clue that being president was difficult.
Right. I thought it was easy. I thought you just kicked your feet up and let the world turn.
And my favorite part about this,
you had to make tough decisions. Shit.
It's honestly telling when an ex-president with all the baggage that we see that he's toting around right now is calling for the utter carte blanche immunity to do. See, he's not going to say to do whatever he wants, but he's telling you that he believes if you're president, you could do whatever you want without repercussion. But he's not, because he's not capable of it, and most MAGA voters aren't capable of any sort of leap of logic, to then go, okay, so what you're saying is, if right now before this election, the Supreme Court rules that a president has immunity forever for everything, there is no way you could ever prosecute a president. And what's to stop Joe Biden from ordering SEAL Team 6 to shoot him in the head at Mar-a-Lardo? Because there currently are people in Congress. There's currently people in Congress still putting on the fake Joe Biden impeachment bullshit. But how are you trying to impeach a president if you're also saying that a president has immunity? This whole charade, this whole Republican push to get Trump immunity is just to protect MAGA and Trump and the other treasonous people that helped him foment a coup and an insurrection. Let's not forget how many Republicans are on that preemptive pardon list.
Oh yeah.
So this whole thing about President Trump having immunity from everything he's ever done is just that, just to protect Donald Trump. That's right. And it has nothing to do with presidency.
Right, the 44 presidents that came before him,
never seemed
no problem with this concept that you can't commit any kind of crime. And yes, a president does have immunity. You can't bomb other countries without some sort of blanket immunity. But you don't have immunity to try and overthrow the very government you swore on a Bible to uphold.
Is this just yet again
hypocrite?
The inability or incapacity of MAGA voters. And to be fair, most people don't know the specifics of things that deeply when it comes to the mechanisms of government. But like,
right.
Is this just another example of a poorly educated population not understanding you can't have immunity to commit crimes against your country? The whole point is if you do something that ends up maybe being a bad decision, but you made that decision in best faith you could to help people, you can't be held liable for making a tough decision that ended poorly. That's what presidential immunity is. That's it. Stop.
Being the president's all about upholding the laws of this nation, not rewriting them in your image.
Well, he did say
so anyway,
he's not.
Looks like we're stuck with Joe Biden. Nikki Haley stuck it out as far as she could, but it looks like we're freaking stuck with Donald Trump. I said Joe Biden. We're stuck with Donald Trump. So yeah, Super Tuesday, she dropped out. I don't think she's actually endorsed him yet.
She has not.
Think she's endorsed anybody yet.
Nope.
If she had any spine after the way he talked about her, I would endorse Biden and give him a big old finger. You know what I'm saying? But like, you want to talk shit about me? Well, guess what? Me and all my 40% of Republican support are going to the other team.
Wow.
If she supports Trump, no spine.
MSNBC right now is showing footage of Viktor Orban and Trump at Mar-a-Lardo hanging out, handing flowers to each other. I'm watching it right now.
The reason I'm so upset with this is they are plotting something. Me and Mike talked about this before the show. These idiots are desperate. They're running out of options. He's losing his cash. He's losing his influence. He's losing his grip on reality. The only play they have left is to cheat. I'm reading reports already that some of these, especially Mike Johnson, he's on the top of this list of people that are just going to deny the results of the next election. They were already talking about subverting the 2024 election and trying to send it back to the states. If they send it back to the states, that's a nightmare situation because one state gets one vote. And right now there's 26 GOP states and 24 or whatever blue states. So
look, Mike Pence was a piece of shit, but it came down to it. He didn't have the balls to overthrow this country. And for that, that alone, I will respect that singular decision in that moment. Mike Johnson is not as weak in his convictions as Mike Pence. Mike Johnson is part of Project 2025, is part of the Heritage Foundation plan. That's
why he is the speaker.
And he will help subvert the 2024 election.
Mike Johnson was instrumental in getting Roe v. Wade overturned. He's instrumental in Project 2025. It's the whole reason a guy with 6 years experience in Congress is the Speaker of the House, because Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation are running this shit. People don't want to believe it. They want to think Trump's doing all this stuff, and these are all his ideas. No, these are being fed to him. These are being fed to him right out of the trend. What is it? A presidential transition, the 900-page manifesto on how to overthrow democracy. They're literally telling Donald Trump what to say. This is our policy on this. Go out and say it. This is our policy on this. Go out and say it. And he does, like a good little puppy, because that's what Donald Trump is. He's this little tiny fascist puppy with Putin holding the leash and the Heritage Foundation cleaning up his poop. Like that.
Yeah, but now
it's like a horrible analogy, but
because all I see now is a mangy dog with like a leash and Putin sitting there, but it's the dog with Trump's head scooting his ass across the carpet, just dragging ass because he's got worms. That's what I see now. It's
unbelievable. Thanks. And these people are well funded, well connected, and they've been plotting this shit for a decade. This is not
don't forget
together overnight.
They might be Meal Team 6 and the Gravy Seals, but they have a group of these scared alpha not cisgender, well, they are cisgender, but incel men with guns and fake training that are ready to just lay down their lives for fascism. So this isn't a completely threatless coup, because now that all these groups saw what failed last time, they're not going to make the same mistake again. They are going to be fully armed this time. They are going to be fully committed this time.
This is what I don't understand about the poor people of America. Joe Biden's a regular dude that grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. This dude worked his way up the ranks. Becoming senator and now becoming president. Like he wasn't like given $400 million to start.
He made bad decisions.
Trump has never worked a hard day in his life. The guy probably's never even cooked for himself. You know what I'm saying? And you've got all these people that are poor in this country. Like, he's our hero. He represents us. What? Are you high? What are you talking about?
Well, no, but you make a perfect point. He tried to sell himself like every other Republican before him, like he's a man of the people. Right. Then he goes on and talking about, you got to hate these cultural elites. And Donald Trump is a Nepo baby times 10. He was given money to start businesses. He was put into facilities and schools where he was completely unable to even compete at a basic academic level with the people around him. This guy has done nothing but have things handed to him and then steal more and then lie about it. While Joe Biden might have made mistakes in his career. He might have been on the wrong side of decisions in his career. But you know what? What a lot of people don't understand is you're allowed to grow and be better and change. And decisions, now there are some now he's still making I don't agree with. Certain support of certain military actions, but in general, he has become on a different side of things than he was when you could point out, hey, those were the bad decisions. But to your point, the man had a job as a kid. The man worked his way up. Donald Trump never in a second in his life lifted a single thing other than a pen and a phone. That's it.
Right. Nothing. And he flies around on jets with gold seatbelt buckles and gold toilets. Like, come on, man.
Jesus Christ.
The guy doesn't represent you. He doesn't even care about you. But anyway, here's his part of his Super Tuesday speech after he claims he trounced Nikki Haley, which really he didn't. Considering he claims he has 95% of MAGA is 95% of the Republican Party. Well, that's more like 60.
We had the safest border in the history of our country. We built 571 miles of wall. We had Mexico supply us with 28,000 soldiers because we wanted them. That's why. And they said
that wall that the wind is blowing over.
Yeah.
And in the end, they did.
It
was an easy negotiation, but we had the safest border, the best numbers we've ever had, and now we have the worst numbers probably in the history of the world. It's sad to see what's happening to our cities. Our cities are being overrun with migrant crime, and that's Biden migrant crime. But it's a new category of crime, and it's violent, where they'll stand in the middle of the street and have fist fights with police officers. And if they did that in their countries from where they came, they'd be killed instantly. They wouldn't do that. So the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us.
No, see, the world is laughing at you, Donald Trump. They're not laughing at us. They're laughing at you.
They're laughing at some Americans. They're laughing at the Americans that have the MAGA hats, wrap themselves in the flag, quote Jesus, and love guns. That's who they're laughing at.
Yeah.
Christ.
I mean, we've always been known as the fat, violent, stupid nation. But now all the stupid people have actually labeled themselves with red hats.
Leave us fat guys alone. Don't us fat guys with that.
Hey, no, I'm in the fat guy category. I just know. But now at least they're nice enough to wear hats. You can identify them. Now they stand out.
The irony is that they scarlet lettered themselves, right?
They really did.
Christian nationalists love nothing more than to play the victim. Oh, you're gonna label us and make us the victim. You're labeling yourself. You put that hat on that says I'm a dumb idiot. You put that on. Exactly. You wear it proudly. You donate to him.
So let's get into some real leadership. The State of the Union address, which I thought I was blown away. And I think Biden's a good speaker, but man, he brought the heat at the State of the Union address. He really did. And he attacked everybody head on. And he did not use Donald Trump's name once. He used my predecessor. And I know for a fact that drove Donald Trump up the freaking wall because he didn't get the recognition he deserves. He wants that recognition.
Right. Any publicity is good publicity. Right. That's a Trump mantra. So.
But the best moments, I think, of the State of the Union happened before and after. Before the State of the Union started, this could be the show stealer of the night. I think this was absolutely the best moment when Biden saw Marjorie Taylor Greene looking like a freaking MAGA clown. Here you go.
As Biden made his way into the chamber, shaking hands, before he made this face after spotting Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's MAGA getup. It's like the face of a grown-up pretending to be scared by a 6-year-old's Halloween costume. Whoa, look at this. You're a scary ghost.
Oh, Jesus, cute, scary ghost. But the shirt she was wearing says "Say her name," and it was that Kaylin Riley or whatever the girl's name was. That was yeah. So okay, let's point out the fact that the number one killer of kids in America is not immigrants; it's guns. But they don't want to say that. But one person gets killed by an immigrant, and they make the entire State of the Union about her. About her.
But they're all about, hey, why are the Democrats politicizing every little thing, right? Okay, well, they think that Next Benedict's death, which is being investigated by the government now, okay, because everyone knows what it was. It was a
hate crime,
horrible ending to a bullying incident born of hate, okay? I don't see Democrats wearing shirts for Next Benedict and trying to politicize that. No. I don't see Democrats wearing the shirts with the names of the thousands of children killed due to gun violence, but I see a Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is an opportunist scumbag, wearing a shirt from a name of someone she herself couldn't pronounce. Okay, where are the name? Why aren't you saying anyone else's name? Why aren't you saying Next Benedict's name? Why aren't you saying all the names of the people, the kids that got killed in the school that you think were crisis actors?
Right, yeah, the ones you see faked it, like, oh my God, this woman. But anyway, Biden's response I thought was perfect. It's literally like seeing like a kid, you see a kid in the costume going, oh, hey, oh, you're a pirate this year. Okay, isn't that cute? I just love Biden, man. He just knows how to react. He's good on the fly. The guy's all there. Yeah, he's slower than he was a couple years ago, but damn it, the guy's good, man. Here's the first beginning part of the State of the Union that we have a clip for.
When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give
even Mike Johnson had a nod there.
Look
at these two scumbags.
Now other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal.
That's the man right there.
I love that whole time. I wasn't watching him. I was listening to him and watching the vice president and the Speaker of the House. And it's very telling when a black woman is agreeing with the president on the things that are just and righteous and based in reality. And you have the white male Christian nationalist who can't even accept that this country should be about equality, should be helping everyone equally.
They don't want that.
It's very interesting.
Right. And notice in all these clips, or just watch the State of the Union, the stuff that Biden talks about: peace, unity, supporting our allies, supporting women, children. None of the Republicans clapped.
Cannabis legalization.
A single one of it. Right. They did not clap a single time when he was talking all these moments.
Also, I'd like to point out, every single Republican at that State of the Union was dressed exactly like Donald Trump, in a shitty navy blue suit and a drab red tie. What the fuck? These people are cosplaying as a scumbag. And they complain about people who like want to wear, I don't know, a skirt if they're a dude. Like, you're dressing up like a known rapist, a fraudster, and a treason and a traitor. Come on.
Who was it? Was it McCarthy that said if you look at the Democrats in the House, they look like they properly represent America. If you look at the GOP, we look like the most restrictive country club in the country.
But that's what they are.
That is so true, because if you look at the GOP side of the House,
white people.
That is, if you look
That's
at
it.
the Republican Party, their founding document, and I'm making this up, the first line on there says, only white people, only Christians, men first, women if we have no choice. That's it.
Yeah, I love how they want to throw religion. I'm tired of this religious stuff because God or the Bible, none of that is actually mentioned in the Constitution.
Can we take a moment to congratulate ourselves for a moment? Just a moment.
What do we do?
You got a nice comment.
Oh, hey,
it really means a lot. Love listening to you guys. I appreciate
Thank you very much.
all the time you put into prepping the show. Keep it up. We're out there listening. And to us, I guarantee you, the most important thing is that people are listening. Because Jeremy's a perfect example. Wait, you're on this side. Jeremy's a perfect example. Okay. Someone who had opinions of the country, the politics of this country, and really was motivated in what a shit show it was becoming because of one man and his cult. And the knowledge that you have gained and the passion you have put towards this show and towards getting people to hear the right message on the right side of history, that's what we're about. We just want everyone to know that people who look like us, white guys, aren't the only ones that have valid opinions. We want everyone to know that everyone's opinion is valid. Come on our show, send us messages. We're trying, maybe we happen to be two white guys that started a show, but in reality, I promise you, we don't think of this show as white guy first. Now, that doesn't mean we're always perfect in picking up the other perspectives, and that's why we need the viewers. That's why we need everyone to help us make a show that is truly what we're trying to do, which is get people to watch that all speak in the same language.
And I'll just use myself as an example. Like before the insurrection, before January 2021, I could give two shits about politics. I had no clue. Everything I know about politics, everything I do for this show, the video editing, all this stuff I've learned since January of 2021. And I've done it, honestly, as a result of Donald Trump. I'm actually on this show right now as a result of Donald Trump.
Thanks, Don.
But not for a good reason. Like, you know what I mean? I started doing all this because I was so angry at how this country had become. Or I was so angry at how everything turned out. Like watching the insurrection and then everything in the aftermath of it. All the lies, like the chaos, the violence. Like my dad served 22 years in the army, did 3 tours in 2 different wars. And honestly, I thank God that he's not around to see how this country has turned out after he literally shed blood, sweat, and tears for the United States and for democracy. For Donald Trump, he would be furious. My dad's probably rolling in his grave.
Okay, here's a question for you. If he was to watch Joe Biden's State of the Union, Donald Trump ranting, and that insane rebuttal from the handmaid herself,
which we have,
who would your dad vote for?
Oh, my dad would vote for Biden in a heartbeat. Like my dad would call Donald Trump a fucking idiot, and he'd be ranting and raving about how he can't believe people are so stupid to support a guy like Donald Trump. That was exactly how my dad was kind of no punches. So
I want to thank William for that message. That is kinder than you will ever know. We really do put our heart and soul into this, and it's just to make sure people vote for the right side of history. That's
right.
it.
And we don't get paid to do this. We just do this because we feel it's necessary. We want people to come on the show that feel like they have a voice and they're not being heard. Like we offer opportunities for people to podcast that have never podcasted before too. All of our voices are important, and I think we need to be louder than the opponents because they are obnoxiously loud. So it's going to be
the right
difficult.
side of history often sits back and assumes that it will all go right. Well, the insurrection proves that it doesn't always all go right.
No, and we cannot sit back because there are so many people that are already in we always say the insurrection is ongoing. It has never stopped. It started before Jan 6th, and it's currently continuing on. They're still trying to overthrow democracy.
I think a perfect example of the coup being ongoing is the rebuttal to the State of the Union. You took someone who does not represent the majority of Americans. You took a woman who is okay debasing herself, the women in this country, to pander to and cater to a movement that would put you under the thumb and take away all your rights. That's who they chose to give their rebuttal.
And they literally put her in a kitchen. Man, I saw so many videos. Women were pissed. Like, you let them put me back in a fucking kitchen? Like, you out of your mind? All right. Anyway, we got a little bit ranting there. So let me play next part of Joe Biden's. Actually, I'll skip that one because we only have 10 minutes left. Because I want to play his response to SCOTUS because the Supreme Court justices were at the State of the Union address, and everything I heard beforehand was Joe Biden's not going to address them directly. Wow, was everybody wrong? All right, so this is about a minute and a half long, but I feel it's necessary because this gave me even more respect for Joe Biden.
History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. But the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right
Mike Johnson hates women.
Guarantee
SCOTUS hates women.
My Johnson's gay. Determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned.
Sure, be gay, but don't screw other people over.
And he brags about it.
Watch his face.
Look at the chaos that has resulted. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
Come on, baby. Come on. Bravo, man.
Rovember.
You're about to find out. He was like, you fucked around, and now you're going to find out.
It's very obvious because Biden, he didn't come up with that. The midterm elections proved that the Republicans pissed off the wrong group when they got trounced by women voting to secure abortion rights and other things in the midterms. Oh man, what Republicans don't understand is that for generations, women were afraid of their husbands and afraid of society. And now that they were finally getting these freedoms that they always deserved, it's harder. It's easier to keep people without their freedoms than to give them to them, which they always deserved, and then try and take them away again.
Right.
Okay, you're not going to win this one through voting, but they don't care, which is why they're trying to use the laws to screw over women, try to pass national abortion bans, try to hypocritically pass IVF bans, where there's a large number of Republican women, sitting senators and congresswomen who have children due to IVF that are now trying to take that right away from other women. So,
yeah, there was one woman that had a baby via IVF, and she's out there bitching about, well, we should ban IVF. Like, what? What? Or women who have an abortion, they're out there saying, I don't understand that. And again, my position as a man on abortion is I have no opinion on it. Women have the right to choose to do whatever the hell they want with their body. That is my opinion. That's my view on abortion. Men should not be allowed in the conversation, and they damn sure should not be making laws about medical things based on the Bible. These are medical problems, doctors, not
which, by the
stories
way,
in a book.
By the way, the Bible, which I have unfortunately read several times, I was a bit of a religious nut in the not for sense, but in the know thine enemy sense growing up.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the Bible that says that a child or a life begins before it is born. Okay. No. It is very clear. The Bible literally states that until a child takes its first breath, it is not alive. Now, the irony is science will tell you that that child is alive earlier than that, which is why we don't do abortions in the 9th month. Okay. Right. So science is actually based on reality. And these people are trying to base laws based on a book written thousands of years ago after the fact. And guess what? You can't even follow your own religion because it doesn't tell you what you want to tell us.
And I don't even like the heartbeat argument, like in abortion, how they say, oh, it's life when the heart starts to beat. That's not true. Okay. No. Consciousness, human consciousness is when life starts.
Electrical
Before the neurons in your brain turn on and start firing, you are an empty vessel with a pump that circulates blood.
Impulses,
that is literally it.
Electrical impulses in cardiac musculature are not life. Okay. No. But I understand it's very hard for Republicans because they see things in the shadows and they make assumptions based on their fears. They don't actually understand reality. They're just used to being afraid and confused and ignorant. And that is what people are hoping for to get their vote.
Exactly. All right. So a little off topic there, but we got to go to the rebuttal because it's honestly the best part of the show. If the Oscars had an overacting award, Senator Katie Britt would win it. This is some of those weird shit. And on our next show, did you see the reaction of the right-wing network that was broadcasting it live?
Yo,
they were speechless.
They were like they were sitting there like this.
This shit live. Yeah, they broadcast this shit live on some right side broadcasting, and there was 4 hosts, and it ended. I swear to God, there's at least 30 seconds of complete.
They're just
mouth open. Silence. They did not know what to say. They're like, this is what just happened. Oh, it's so good. All right. But anyway, let me play this video and then I have a slide to go over too.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most. I am a proud wife and mom of 2 school-aged kids. My daughter, Bennett, and my son, Ridgway, are why I ran for the Senate.
Ridgway?
I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband, Wesley, and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
No.
No.
Look, I'm not making fun of anyone's name. I'm just saying it's weird that she named her son after the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway. Just have a little awareness. Yeah,
What's
I'm
your
just
name?
saying.
Ridgway.
But these are the people.
I heard somebody introduce himself that way.
These are the people that will knock African names, foreign names, native names. Yeah. But Ridgway's okay. That's a nice Christian name.
Ridgway. I still can't get over that. What's his daughter's name? Bitch, make me a sandwich.
Oh, God. Come on.
Like, that's the only thing that would have made the video more complete. If her husband was in the background, like, bitch, where's my sandwich? So anyway, the slide I wanted to go over, I know it's kind of inappropriate, but what the hell? It's kind of how I do.
I'm okay with it.
The slide, she, during her rebuttal, told this tearful story about a woman who was sex trafficked and raped for years,
which is terrible.
Which is absolutely terrible.
But
and she was blaming it though on Biden's border policies. That's the key.
So Biden in what 2023 and 4, right? Recently, since he's been president since 2020, is what she's complaining about.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
Now, come to find out on Twitter, this one's from Tristan Snell. This is an update. Katie Britt's spokesperson admits her sex trafficking story was about a woman named Carla Jacinto Romero. Romero was forced to work in brothels in Mexico, in Guadalajara and Mexico City, 600 to 700 miles away from the Mexico border. From 04 to 08. That was when George Bush was president. Jesus
That's weird.
Christ. How did they not? She had to either not know this or she just heard the story and assumed.
Wait a minute. You're assuming that she wrote this speech.
I don't know.
She was told to clean her kitchen. No, she was told to clean her kitchen, find a place to sit, and then someone came in with a teleprompter and said, "Read this while you're smiling." That's what happened.
They hand her an ironing board at the same time. Yes, my son Ridgway and my daughter bitch gave me a sandwich.
Yeah, but so now, the Republican official rebuttal to the State of the Union is to tell you flatly that all the things that President Biden said about being a together nation and trying to help everyone is out of touch with the American people. And then she tells you a story about someone being raped. And the only reason you would say that is to rebut Joe Biden. And the story took place not under Joe Biden, not under Donald Trump, not under 8 years of Obama, but under George W. Bush.
Yes, 20 years ago, 2
So
decades.
fear-mongering at its best. This thing happened once. Let's blame him. That's what just happened. That's what happened.
Right, and it's like we said earlier, one person gets killed by a migrant. Now all of a sudden, migrant crime is a new category. These people, the fear is all they have. Fear for votes is what they're doing. But anyway, I looked a little bit more into her. She's only been in Congress a year, and she's from Alabama. Like, why would they pick a junior congressperson from Alabama to give the rebuttal? That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
It's funny. It almost shows like they're like, we need those young people. We got the TikTok, and we got to get the young people. So let's put her in there. She's young.
And then Tommy Tuberville responded like, we like her because she's a housewife, and Democrats are against family. He's like, dude, dickhead, she's a full-time senator. She's not a housewife.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. What the right needs you to believe is that the left doesn't want women to stay at home.
No.
What the left wants is women to have the right to decide what the hell they want to do with their life. If they want to stay home and be housewives, great. But you also have the right to go be a CEO, to go be a mechanic, to go be a military general, to go do anything you want. But the right cannot accept that women are not only allowed, but have a right to do something else other than be barefoot and pregnant. They cannot get that around their head. So their big push is to scare everyone by could you believe that the Democrats want women to be respected and do things on their own?
And actually, it's good that you brought that up because that's a stark comparison as well. And I'd like to point out that over 60% of the justices that Joe Biden has appointed, judges, are female.
That is ridiculous. That is a huge, amazing number. And guess what? Lifetime appointments.
First black woman to the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Like the guy, Joe Biden, she's like, he's been in politics longer than I've been alive. Well, no shit. He's 81 years old. He's been in Congress, or he's been in government for 50 years.
Wait.
Would you rather have? I'll propose this question and then we'll stop. What would you rather have as president? A nice old man who knows how the government works, literally knows the ins and outs, and could run it in his sleep. And he cares about people, and he wants to do good things, and he wants to give people equal rights and better pay and better jobs and all this stuff. Or do you want some bigot, racist asshole who covers himself in orange makeup, coadies up the dictators, runs the GOP with the help of Putin and Russian intelligence? Like, which one of those do you think is the smarter choice? And Joe Biden can obviously get through a whole speech. For an hour, the guy spoke and stuttered maybe a couple times. No problem whatsoever.
Shit happens. He didn't drool out of his mouth.
2 hours? Oh my God. We can make an entire show of all the missteps and just slurring and ranting and raving. That's all he does.
Russia.
It's still my best one.
It is.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. My favorite clip of Donald Trump is still when he's talking about corn. That's
you're
hard to top.
Liquid gold.
It's non-liquid gold. I've come up with a new term for corn. Non-liquid gold.
Biden, migrant crime, and non-liquid gold.
Migrant crime.
The best phrases anyone's ever phrased.
I know. We have the best border in the history of the world. Come on,
their voices, their languages. We don't even have people who speak those languages from countries we haven't even known. We don't know what countries. Maybe they're from Mars.
Maybe they're from Mars. We have immigrants coming across the southern border from Mars. So anyway, that's all we have for today's show. I've got a headache now from talking about all this ridiculous stuff. But choose wisely, I guess, is our we don't want to tell you who to vote for. I mean, I think it's obvious you know who we are going to vote for. But I like to think anybody with a lick of common sense at this point is not going to vote for Donald Trump.
Anyone with some human compassion.
You can't possibly, like, if you're struggling right now, like I am, like I'm poor as dirt. You know what I mean? I barely have enough money to keep the show afloat. You know what I'm saying? Like just the subscriptions and stuff I have to pay for just to do the podcast. But at the same time, I see Joe Biden. He's trying to rebuild. Like he is from a time, like you said earlier, Mike, where the middle class actually existed. It doesn't exist anymore. The middle class is like 150 to 250K a year. That's the middle class right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but 50% of America, and this has been true for years now, 50%. I'm not talking household income. I'm talking per person. 50% of Americans make less than $30,000 a year. Tell me how you're supposed to live on that.
Yeah, but even double that, right? If your median household income for middle class is 150,
right?
That still doesn't cut it.
No, because you're still mortgaged out. You still got your credit card bills because you can't afford to pay cash for anything. You gotta finance everything. So, like I said, once you get to like that 150 and above, then you can kind of have a little bit more comfortable life. But until then, it's nothing but debt and stress and struggle. But I see Joe Biden trying to make a difference in that. I see that, and he's the only president that I've honestly seen since I've been paying attention and looking back through all the last few administrations that's actually talking about helping the middle class.
Hey,
about
I'll tell you,
building it from the bottom up and the middle out, not the top down. That's what Joe Biden's talking about.
You talk about seeing differences. I'm in manufacturing. The CHIPS Act, bringing work back to this country for over a year or two, and from the beginning, the middle of the pandemic onward, for 2 years, the supply chain was dead. When I tell you, it would take almost years to get components in, simple basic electronic components in. It was crippling. They passed the CHIPS Act. They passed the ability for American companies to start up more manufacturing businesses. And guess what? We're moving again.
I used to be in the car business, and when we had that problem with COVID, dude, there was car dealerships that would have like 200 cars on a lot would have like 50, 30. I mean, sometimes we would have literally like a dozen cars on a lot.
Point is he is doing things like you said.
He's trying to
make our lives better as best he can.
And I think if we give him another 4 years, the amount of stuff we could accomplish with a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House, I bet this country could be an amazing place to be, an actual utopia at some point, because we're still trying to achieve. And Biden said it. We've never achieved the American progress. We've never achieved unity and equality, but we're trying to accomplish that still. We don't want to give up on it. We still want to fight for all those things.
Because MAGA, Trump, the Republicans want to tell you to make America great again, as if great isn't the pinnacle. Great should be the pinnacle. But to your point, we were never there. You know why? Because in the language of the founders, it's the American experiment. They understood that a strict government would stagnate, but one that could grow and evolve could succeed if people cared enough. And that's where we are.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a perfect way to close out the show. We'll be back on Tuesday, 8 p.m. live. We do all our shows live at the moment. So check us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe. We need all the help we can get. We are so close to getting to that 500 subscriber mark, which is a huge, big deal for us. So awesome. We just started doing this back in October. So have a good rest of your Sunday. We love you all. Thank you for the support. And like always, we'll talk to you soon. And we're going to close the show out with Joe Biden's new ad. Have a good day.
Look, I'm not a young guy. That's no secret. But here's the deal. I understand how to get things done for the American people. I led the country through the COVID crisis. Today, we have the strongest economy in the world. I passed a law that lowers prescription drug prices, caps insulin at $35 a month for seniors. For 4 years, Donald Trump tried to pass an infrastructure law, and he failed. I got it done. Now we're rebuilding America. I passed the biggest law in history to combat climate change because our future depends on it. Donald Trump took away the freedom of women to choose. I'm determined to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. Donald Trump believes the job of the president is to take care of Donald Trump. I believe the job of the president is to fight for you, the American people, and that's what I'm doing. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Can we do one more take?
Look, I'm very young, energetic, and handsome. What the hell am I doing this for?